Relax and get comfortable. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. You were standing in front of the door to a little shop off a side street you happened to run across in your wanderings. Over the door hangs a sign that reads tarot readings in bright green and purple letters. It seems fortuitous that you have come across this shop. For some time now you have been curious about the tarot, wondering if you can learn more about yourself from the cards. Perhaps you already own a deck or two. Perhaps you have used the cards for some time. But today you feel there's something new you can learn from the tarot, some knowledge about yourself that you have not yet encountered. You examine your intuition and decide that the shop feels safe, protected. So you take a chance and open the door. The room into which you step is small. The light is bright but not glaring, and there are none of the dim shadows often associated with fortune tellers and psychic readers. A table sits in the middle of the room, with a chair on either side. To your left, you see a small altar. You go over to look, but your intuition tells you that these are someone's sacred objects, and so you keep your hands to yourself. Atop the white linen tablecloth rests a vase filled with daffodils, bright yellow and fragrant with their spicy scent. A large wooden pentacle sits in front of the vase, and on the pentacle a prism. It separates the rays of sunlight filtering in from the window into dazzling rainbows that dance around the room. A stick of rose-scented incense gently smolders to the left of the pentacle, ash falling into a copper holder. To the right sits a bowl of water scented with rosemary and lemongrass. There is another door against the back wall of the shop, and you think that it might lead into the alley. As you turn back to the center table, a woman enters from the curtained door to your right. The woman wears a gauze dress, lavender, with a stippled pattern etched in gold. Gold hoops peek out from beneath her hair. A golden pentacle rests at her throat. You notice a touch of silver intermingling with the ginger brown of her long curls, and her eyes are ancient with knowledge and wisdom. She smiles to you and bids you welcome. You wish me to read your cards? She asks. Sit down at the table. The woman sits across from you. I am called Pythia, she says, after the goddess of the oracle. What is your name? Tell her your name now. Pythia takes out a deck of cards. She handles them easily. She must have shuffled them 1,000 times before. She taps them on the table to straighten them, and then hands the deck to you. Hold the cards while you think of this question. What do I need to know? Then shuffle them 7 times and return them to me. Examine the cards in your hands. What pattern ornaments the back? Does it have any meaning for you, or is it a random pattern chosen by fate? Now think of the question and shuffle them 7 times, then give them back to Pythia. She spreads the cards face down on the table. Choose one, she says. 1. Surely you should pick more, you think. As if she is reading your thoughts, she shakes her head. Choose 1 card, she says again. Look at the cards and pick 1, but do not turn it over. You give the card to Pythia. She turns it over and places it on the table in front of you. It is the Fool, she says. When you examine the card, you see yourself in the picture. You are wearing a light robe over a simple dress or pair of trousers. The colors are jewel tones, yellow and green, blue and red. In your left hand you carry a rose. In your right hand a backpack. A forest rises behind you, and a few steps ahead lies a dark abyss, waiting. Pythia smiles. How exciting, she says. You are beginning a long journey, a new adventure in your life. There are changes starting to happen, although I cannot predict where they will lead, for this is a journey that you must travel yourself. You must go alone, and you must leave now if you are to seize the opportunities awaiting you. The thought of such a journey is daunting. It seems a foolish thing to do, to run off without knowing where you are going. But still, a sense of anticipation shivers down your spine, and you think that maybe it wouldn't be so frightening after all. Pythia seems to sense your ambivalence. There is no time for worry nor for hesitation, she says, hustling you out of your chair. The moment you entered this shop, you instigated change. She presses a knapsack into your hands. It is similar to the one in the picture. Then she takes the card and tucks it into your pocket. Keep this with you. It will aid you along your quest. Somewhat bewildered, you find yourself aimed toward the door at the back wall of the shop. Remember, once the journey has begun, you can't come back to the exact place from which you started. Every journey, even the small ones, changes, and we are never the same. Now go, knowing that I am with you, even if it does not always seem so, Pythia whispers. Before you can stop her, she propels you through the door. Much to your surprise, you find yourself standing in the middle of a wide, grassy meadow. A dark forest cloaked in mist and shadow rises between you and the distant mountains. A rainbow arcs over the sky as the sun slowly sets in the west. You turn around. The shop, the alley, the city are all gone, and you see nothing behind you but the wide expanse of open grassland. Take a moment to orient yourself. When you have regained your composure, take another look around. A path runs through the grassland, down the knoll, and into the forest. You follow it with your eyes until it disappears into the dark undergrowth. But when you look at the distant slopes, golden in the sunset, you notice that the path emerges from the other side of the copse to wind up through the nooks and crannies of the hilltop. It cuts through the mountain, up to the peak, and disappears over the top. A wind gusts by, the cool breeze of the evening kissing your skin. Inhale deeply as the refreshing air fills your lungs. Feel it begin to dislodge any fears about change that you may have. Now exhale, and as you blow the air out from your lungs, release these fears up to the sky to be cleansed and carried away. Inhale once more. This time the air brings with it a sense of anticipation, a stirring of wanderlust, and the desire for new adventures. Exhale once again and release doubts and insecurities that prevent you from trying new things, from taking risks when the time seems appropriate. Now take a third deep breath. A sense of peace about the journey flows in with the cooling breeze. Exhale slowly, and you will be ready to begin a new cycle in your life. The sun is settling below the horizon. It is time to set out. Take a quick peek in your knapsack. What do you think you would need for such a journey? Food, of course, and water. But what else? Look in the knapsack to see what you find. Perhaps there is a lantern there, or some rope. You might find simply a swirl of energy ready to take the shape of whatever you need as you travel along. Examine your knapsack now. A soft hooting from the forest below tells you that it is time to actually begin your journey. The sun is almost set, but the moon is beginning to rise, and it will give you clear light under which you may travel. Start walking along the path as you head toward the forest, for you know that somewhere deep in the glen lays the direction in which you must travel, and while there may be many paths as you follow your quest, you have a sense of destiny about this journey. The twilight shimmers around you. If you are not used to being out of doors, it may seem a little frightening. The knowledge that this afternoon you were sitting in a city shop and are now traveling through an unknown land is enough to make anyone nervous. If you are a little scared, that's perfectly fine. But remember what Pythia told you. Once a journey is undertaken, you can never go back to the exact place from which you began. Every quest, even the small ones, changes, and we are never the same. You travel alone, accompanied only by the haunting call of birds as their cries echo through the approaching night. A shift in the grass here or there tells you that some small animal recently wandered by, but it is difficult to see at this time, and you hurry down the slope, suddenly longing for the protection of the forest. As you peer through the dusk, you see that the forest seems to be made up of maple and oak, cedar and fir, and the trees are thick with undergrowth. Huckleberries, fern, and vine maple wrap their way through the silent sentinels. Just before you reach the opening of the wood, you see something in the middle of the path, blocking your way. It is a fountain, formed of agate and moonstone, and a ladle hangs from a nearby post. You pause for a moment, then try to go around the fountain. A crackle in the air makes you slightly nervous. Magic feels thick here, and you aren't sure if you want to approach the shimmering water in the dusk. But when you try to skirt the left, you find you can't get past. A field of energy blocks your way and seems to extend as far as you can see. You find the same thing to the right. There is no help for it. You have to approach the fountain. Cautious, not sure what to expect, you make your way to the reservoir. The moonstone shines with a ghostly light under the rising moon. Carefully look over the edge and into the hollow of dark glistening liquid. The moon's reflection ripples as a gentle breeze moves across the water. A silvery face begins to take form in the water. It is the face of a woman. "Who are you?" she says. Tell her your name. Her eyes glitter. They are the color of aquamarine, and her lips open delicately as she says, "Before you can continue your journey, you must think about what you are ready to leave behind. Think about what behaviors you have outgrown, what beliefs no longer work for you. You must recognize that which has passed out of your life before you can search for new dreams, new goals, and new adventures. Sit on the edge of the fountain and think about what you are ready to release, what beliefs no longer matter to you, What habits are you ready to break? What lessons have you recently learned and integrated into yourself? Think about all of these things for a moment. When you have thought about her words, the Spirit smiles and says, "Now you are truly ready for the journey. Now you are ready for new growth and new lessons. There will be many obstacles along your path, many parts of your psyche you have yet to explore. Your strongest ally is your own honesty and truth. Without honesty to yourself, you will never rid yourself of illusions and self-deception." The water ripples as she says, "Take the ladle and scoop up a mouthful of water. Drink deep and you will be allowed to pass into the forest, to your next destination on this journey, where you will have to face yourself and your inner truths. Take the ladle and drink." As the water races down your throat, refreshing you, the fountain glows brighter and brighter, and then, in the wink of an eye, it is gone, vanished into the night, and the path into the forest is clear. You know now that your next journey will take you into the wood, but for now rest here at the foot of the forest. All journeys take time. You cannot complete the cycle in a single evening. Now listen as I count from 10 to 1. As I count, you will become awake and alert. 10. 9. You are becoming alert and aware of your surroundings. 8. 7. 6. Hear the sounds around. 5, 4, you will be fully alert and refreshed. 3, 2, you are waking to full consciousness. 1, take 3 deep breaths, and when you are ready, you may open your eyes.